Hello, everyone. Happy Monday to you all. Welcome to this recording of the On the Ball podcast. Hope you're looking forward to it as much as me. We're in for a stellar night of discussion and stuff. It's going to be a good one, I can assure you. And I'm very excited by it. You know, I have to share this all on Facebook. Wearing a messy shirt. That's pretty sad, isn't it? I've turned into that person. But I mean, I'm going to wear some different football shirts. You know, just because I haven't had the chance to do it on Tifo, so I'm just going to start doing it on the ball. I'm hoping the podcast has gone live on Facebook, which is what I'm looking for and scrabbling around for right now. But let's do it in a different way to save everyone time and myself the hassle. Well done, Michael. Right, who we got on tonight? I hear you crow from a distance. Get your comments and questions in, but I'm expecting we're going to get loads. Just to say, everyone, this is the last pod before Christmas, obviously, but also the last podcast of the year. So we're going to do awards. Think of your awards. We want award topic, alternative award topic, and your nominations. Because I asked the WhatsApp group for the podcast, and they just came up with ones that we really couldn't use. But hopefully they might have some better suggestions now. But yeah, come in with some as well. We've tended to do the list ourselves in the past, and we just got lazy. Really, we haven't bothered. So you fill in the gaps. That's great. I mean, I'm off this week. I haven't really written a script. This will all go perfectly. Who is on tonight? I hear you cry. Stop talking, Michael. There they are. Steve, Andy, and Zoe. That's exciting, isn't it? So we're going to speak to them very much. I could just leave them on. Should I leave them on and see which gestures they can come up with while I share? Maybe not. I saw some particularly unsavory gestures at Carrow Road on Saturday. I suspect we'll get to talk about that on the podcast once we're live. I'm not going to do that to them. That's not very kind, is it? There we go. I'm already cruel enough to them all whilst we're actually off mute. So I am just sharing this. So yeah, we can talk about Blackburn, obviously. Get any questions and comments you want in. I did have a couple after the weekend, so I might try and address those. I'll see if I remember, because in my job I say things and then people are like, oh yeah, what did you mean? And I want my talking to be where people can ask follow-up questions. So that's I will endeavor to remember to do that today, but if not, I'm sure we're going to cover everything one way or another. And, if you're here tonight watching this, fair play. Thank you. Because to be honest, I wouldn't blame anyone for just buy football and it's time for Christmas. That was what I would be doing if I'm honest, but I'm not, because I am a model professional. Yes, indeed. Right. In that case, everyone's here. You're here. They're here. I'm here. Tick that off. I've got my script. It's always a good start, and that's all shared. So let's crack on. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Get involved, and let's do this. Yes. Hello all, Merry Christmas to you, and welcome to edition 121 of On the Ball, the Norwich City podcast that was told it constantly makes digs at the football club. Well, if that's how they feel, then wait until they hear about what Carrow Road was like on Saturday. I'm Michael Bailey. I cover the Canaries for The Athletic, and I hope this finds you safe and well. On the way for our final pod of 2022. The problem with football crowds, a wing and a prayer. The prize draw of our Tifo book competition and awards season time. We will work through all that and more with our guests this fine Christmassy evening in Norwich. They are Norwich numberwang. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Norwich numberwang chief at NCFC Numbers, also known as our very own Steve Sanders.
Lovely, thank you. The boxing promoter type vibe to that.
It did. It sort of morphed into it because I couldn't use words. So I elongated them all.
Well, I liked it.
We also have, as Sheffield United go 1-0 up at home, at Wigan, we have author of The Official History of Norwich City and purveyor of fine jumpers. It is Zoe Morgan.
Merry Christmas, Michael.
And to all, thank you, and to you. And finally, joining us this evening, ITV Anglia broadcast journalist, it's Andy Ward.
Hi guys, Merry Christmas everyone.
There we go. It's so festive. I've just realised here I've written any Ward, but it isn't. It's Andy. Thank goodness we've got the best of all the Wards out there. Thanks for joining us, everyone who has decided to still engage in some sort of football chat before Christmas. What are you doing? Including us lot here tonight. Steve, how are you? How's your pre-Christmas going?
I mean, apart from Saturday evening,
Yes.
yeah, it's nice. Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. I didn't say that. I was distracted by the intro, so I'm gonna blame you for Michael for being rude and not wishing everybody else
That's fine.
a Merry Christmas.
I'm a horrible man.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's nice not to have to worry about another Norwich game until Christmas Day. Yes, literally, thank Christ for that.
Oh my goodness me. What a start. Your Christmas tree is looking resplendent. Now I thought you'd added, obviously we've got to explain this for our audio listeners, although any audio listener will be able to watch this back on my YouTube and Facebook and stuff. I thought you'd added more baubles and different colors to your tree. You've since said you haven't done that. You've just turned off some of the lights. Obviously this is all in a bid to make it look less blue.
Yes, and we've already had a comment from Nolly saying deeper shade of blue.
I mean, it's
Christmas
definitely
lights.
it's a great song, that, by the way. It does look more blue. Can you please switch switch the lights on this Christmas on the ball, Steve Sanders,
Yes,
numberwang chief.
With apologies to all of our audio listeners right now.
This is exciting. I'm going to audio describe it in a kind of royal festive way as Steve turns the lights on and it's a shower of even more blue, but lighter. I can't
believe
blue.
It looked like that last week. It's just an assault on the senses. And as I say, apologies to anybody listening.
It's a kind of
I'm turning it back on.
It's a Man City blue. You've elevated your tree to Erling Haaland proportions, Steve. So well done.
Thank you.
It's the only time of the year we can talk about Christmas trees. Zoe, hello. You're wearing a Christmas jumper, which delights me.
I am, and it's got Timo Pukki. It's got Timo Pukki on it. Because I, unlike Steve, who's moved on to a blue, like the blue colour, I think I'm still supporting Norwich City, even amidst what's going on.
Amidst the fun. Now I've got to try and remember this. Isn't it? Pukki mean like Christmas goat or something like that? I can't remember from something like that. Pukki is goat, obviously, and then like there's a Christmas goat that hangs around in Finland.
I think so.
Yeah. Whereas we have Father Christmas, they have the Christmas goat. Teemu marauds the streets of Finland handing out presents. That's how Christmas works in Finland. Didn't anyone know? So hopefully he won't look too tired on Boxing Day. I think that's why he grows his beard. His beard's very big. It's because he's heading back to do that.
He is a very festive looking man, I would say.
He's a lovely man. Enjoy him while he's here. Andy, welcome once again. It feels like it's been a while since. I think you've done other podcasts since you came on, but that's absolutely fine. Don't worry, I allow that. Unless Steve. Are you done for Christmas? I know media is very busy. For me, Christmas and media, they're very busy times.
Yeah, it is. It is a busy time. No sort of no Christmas tree, no Christmas jumper. So I'm really sorry. I'm not festive in that respect, but
I have just twigged.
Literally the odd one out here, aren't you?
It's a white room and a pile of books.
Yeah, there's nothing going on, is there?
I'm not. I've got a golf trophy in the background, and I'm wearing a Messi Barcelona shirt, obviously, as he is now the greatest footballer ever to have been created. Official. Yeah. So I'm doing that, but that's not particularly festive, is it? I'm normally quite good for a festive. This isn't good audio. I've forgotten it's too late. I will wear something festive on the first podcast back in the new year because it'll then be horrifically out of character. Well, I think we've stalled enough. For those watching us live or on your chosen social media platform, we do want to hear from you over the course of the podcast. It can be on absolutely anything. Say a comment, obviously. If we can publish it, we will. Ask a question. We can all answer questions, and you can decide how well. But also, because it's our last podcast of the year, we would like to do our alternative awards, which is something we usually do, it's something maybe where in the past we've come up with the awards in advance and then the debate can roll on. This time we haven't bothered. So, well, we tried. I did try. But, you know, we didn't get so far with some of the suggestions, which is fine. It's a sensitive time of year. So in this case, we want you to suggest what could be your alternative award of the year. Try and keep it to football. But you can maybe extend it beyond Norwich if you want. That's fine. We've got some of our own. I mean, I put this out on Twitter about 10 minutes before we went live, as you do. Andy Warner came up with most mentions on a podcast of I wrote something on The Athletic. Nice dig, Andy. Nice dig. They pay my wages, though. Dave Cole, he came up with one. Own goal of the season. The category cannot include any action on the pitch. Oh,
that is hotly contested, that one, isn't it?
I couldn't dream of coming up with any nominations, and neither has Dave, it must be said as well. But if anyone wanted to, then go for it. Yes. So if you have any suggestions, then you can get them into us on YouTube or on Facebook, because they will come through to us. I probably won't see them if you put them as tweets, but I'll try and have a look if I can. That includes you, Dave. And then, I don't know what you guys have got. I did come up with a couple. Anyone got a quick one we could get out there before the audience? Anyone? No. All right. I can. Oh, go on, Zoe. Yes. Oh, Andy. This is go for it.
I was going to say, traditional football awards, you usually have your most improved player, just as a sort of sympathy award. I was wondering whether this one might just be our only improved player, and Josh would be the only nomination.
Yes.
Well, Josh is man of the year, isn't he? Like,
we're going man of the year.
Well, he's not like GQ man of the year, but he is our man of the year, isn't he?
I had, and maybe this, this is fairly non-alternative, I suppose, highlight of the year, which I was going to give to Josh at the World Cup, because I can't think of many in yellow shirts, but highlight of the year, if anyone wants to go for those, that's good. Andy, I feel like you had one.
Yeah, I was just looking at Zoe's jumper there. I just love Tammy Puki's facial hair. So does he have the best facial hair at Norwich? Or is there a contender for that? Facial hair or best hair for a Norwich
best
player?
hair. I definitely think we've dabbled in that one in the past. So let's definitely bring that one of best hair of 2022.
Yeah.
Great shout.
Can be facial or on the head.
Oh, I like, yeah. We'll keep it all above the shoulders. Yep.
Yeah.
Bit of chest, top chest.
Armpit.
We'll keep it above the shoulders.
We're progressively getting lower. Okay, that's a lie. I'm trying to think of who. Well, I mean, yeah, because even Josh himself goes from quite a sprightly, big, curly ensemble to something a bit more tight. So there we go. So lots of discussion we can have there. That's good. And the other suggestion I had was eye roll of the year. You can think of that moment where you just went. Mine is Son Heung-min completing his hat trick against for Tottenham last season. It's a great eye roll moment, that one. So eye roll moments welcome as well. Any others before we move on, because we will address this later in the pod?
I mean, if we're talking eye roll moments, then we probably won't end up speaking about the Blackburn game for another 15 minutes, I reckon, because there's just been so many.
Well, this is it. You've got to pick your shortlists. You can't just be throwing all of your eye rolls of the year. There we go. Okay, so get those in if you're watching and listening live, and if you're listening later or even watching later, then you can email us as well with your suggestions, and I can read them out when I'm wearing my festive glasses in January. All you need to do is email them to Twitter KERS at iCloud.com. Right, I think we should crack on with this week's headline hacked. The comments are absolutely piling in, by the way. We're going to have a job keeping track of these. Don't know what everyone wants to talk about. Anyway, in complete unrelated news, let's move on to our headline act. Well, so that went well, didn't it? Norwich lost 2-0 at home to Blackburn, for anyone who might have forgotten the scoreline. And Dean Smith lost large sections of the Carrow Road crowd. I've written here first question, Steve. What level of badness are we on right now? And I don't know. It is quite funny. It is quite funny. Is funny the right word? I don't know. I'm going to laugh about all this because it's just football. But, Norwich are 5th, yet it feels like it has all imploded. And there is just football bits all over the floor.
Yeah, we really are quite bad. I think it was a weird juxtaposition this weekend because I think I watched one of the best games I've ever seen in my life on Sunday, and maybe one of the worst games I've ever seen in my life on Saturday. I'm genuinely not actually sure it's that far off it. I'm obviously there's some kind of recency bias here, but that was really, really not very good. No aggression, no creativity. Didn't seem to be much of a sense of purpose there. No real recognizable kind of patterns of play that we were going for, partnerships developing, anything like that, really. The tactics seem to be to kind of kick it long to Josh Sargent and maybe get Kenny kind of playing off him somewhat for the knockdowns. But assuming that was the tactic, it didn't work. The subs that came on had no impact on the game. And I think that off the back of Middlesbrough, which seems like a long time ago now, but was the last home game that we played, which was also very bad in a very different way. I can't really remember 2 back-to-back home games for quite some time where they've been as poor as that. Obviously, we'll go on to Smith and all that sort of thing, because there's a lot to unpack there.
Very soon, it's the next question.
Hey, don't worry, I don't want to swerve that. But I think the whole with I did a little bit of number crunching before came on. The whole we're 5th thing is a bit of a false narrative. 35 points from 23 games has only been enough to be in the top 6 once in the last 10 seasons. We had 2 more points than this at this stage under Neil Adams this season. And
10 more points.
No, sorry, 2. Did I say 10?
Oh no,
2.
maybe it wasn't me listening. I just my brain's fried. I almost cried.
I feel like I could just say anything now and you believe it. Yeah, we had 15
would,
more points under Neil Adams. Yeah, so and you can bet your bottom dollar we're now halfway through, so that means 70 points at the end of the season. That will not get us into the playoffs. So we need to be better, and it feels like we're getting worse. So yeah, I've got no good news, unfortunately, but I'll let someone else have a go.
Well, yes. I mean, Blackburn did sort of just outrun Norwich, I thought, at times, which is sort of, and I did my video, which sort of underpinned a lot of the match issues I felt. So we could probably break it down into 2 bits, Zoe. I guess we've got the situation in the match around Dean Smith, and we also have what was then said after the match. Which would you like to tackle?
I'll talk about during, I guess. I probably feel more qualified to talk about that. It was weird, wasn't it? It was very weird. I didn't like it at all. I think that it was very obvious, that you said earlier, Michael, that Smith had lost the crowd. I mean, a lot of them were missing before it even started. There was a lot of empty seats. It was terrible, as Steve said. And yeah, I thought the combination of sort of sarcastic jeering when we were passing it along the defence and to Angus, when, it's so difficult because, it wasn't the defence's fault that none of the midfield were moving and making any passes available. We had the "we want Dino out" chance, which sort of started it all off. Never heard a manager's specific style of play being insulted during a game as well. No. I think sort of from a very fundamental human level, it's really not very nice to hear such, obviously targeted personal chanting against somebody. I totally sort of see where it's coming from, that it's been bad and it's been building up for a while. We've had general apathy for quite some time. I think a lot of silence, a lot of just not much reaction going on. I think it's been building up to this. It was really quite uncomfortable, all of it, I thought. And then I think what it did do, I think eventually, was it really affected the players, and not in a very good way. I think for whatever reason, it might be that they thought, oh great, this could be a good reason to this could be a good way to get him sacked, this, or deflect any attention from us. It could be that they were just trying to defend him and trying to play better. But I think it, in the nicest way you could say it, was that they started trying too hard and completely lost their discipline. He had really bad tackle from Kenny at one point. He had the very sort of unsavory incident, I suppose, with Timu and the ball boy, and he had a couple, I think Hanley sort of pinned a Blackburn player down for a bit. And I like a bit of violence on the football pitch as much as anything. It didn't feel quite right. And it was just, I don't know. It felt very much at the end of how on earth do we come back from that? And it felt like there was only really one course of action to be taken at the end of that. And now it possibly feels like that's not going to happen. And I really sort of am quite nervous about what comes next, because that was not a nice place to be. Football is supposed to be a bit of fun. It's supposed to be, something that you enjoy doing. I think you're either going to lose even more of the crowd very, very quickly, or it's just going to, it's just going to be a very hostile place to be, and unless things, dramatically improve on the pitch. But even then, I think, I don't know. I think the scene's been set. It feels very difficult for this to turn around. Very, very difficult.
I can't think of a point where it turns around from a situation like this that I've known of. It's interesting. There's not very, obviously I've been a supporter, but I kind of am. I am just as much an observer now at games, and so to be an observer of the atmosphere and that abuse on someone, it is really uncomfortable. I think, because some people probably think that people revel in stuff like that, and you don't. It's like, wow, any human being chanted at, disparagingly by a lot of people, and reasonably personally. I suppose it's difficult in football how personal anything is, but it's just like horrible. Why would you ever want anyone to be in that situation? I think Dean Smith probably feels the same in terms of not knowing where things go from that point, Zoe, because he said after the game that he was glad he wouldn't be back at Carrow Road basically for the next game, because it would be better to be playing at home. And that was among a lot of quotes. It was interesting. I came out and I spoke to someone who said, well, that seemed, he seemed like a sort of a bit of a broken man, Dean Smith. And I was like, no, I didn't see that at all. I thought he seemed quite, fighty. and obviously you then get the comments that he said after the game, especially to Chris Gorham, when, I was there for him saying them, and you're like, okay, this is how it's gonna go, and you kind of envisage how that then plays out, and I don't know if that's a leaking out of how it feels inside the club, because it would certainly back up some of the things I've heard for the past 5 to 6 months, that the fans aren't helping, Andy. They don't help, even though it's their football club, and it's ultimately, you're never going to do anything if they're not rooting for you, which is kind of the example on Saturday. So what did you make of what Dean Smith said?
It's just really sad, isn't it? I think. I mean, you asked Steve, what level of badness was it? I think it's what level of sadness was it? Because it was just such a tragic place to be, in terms of the atmosphere. So flat. We mentioned the empty seats there, and I think the comments after the game kind of summed up this us against them attitude, and that's not how a successful club operates, is it? It needs to be everyone on board. That's what Norwich have done in the past when they've had successful seasons. It felt like everyone has been buying into the projects, but I think people don't know what the project is anymore, do they? I think you could go around the ground, ask every fan what they thought of Dean Smith's style of play. I think they'd all give you a different answer, which is, I think, sums everything up. And you could ask them the same question. You could ask them, where is this club going? Again, they would say different things. And it just feels like everyone is pulling in different directions. The players are pulling in different directions. The fans, as we mentioned there. And I completely get the argument that it's, it doesn't it's not a nice place for the players to play. I completely get that. It doesn't help them perform, does it, in an environment like that? But I do see the flip side as well, because the fans have been really patient. Because since Dean Smith has been here, he's given them absolutely nothing, has he? If we're being brutally honest, you look back and there are just no memorable performances, no last minute winners to get off your seat and really get behind them. And even when they were winning, it was flat and people weren't buying into what he was doing. So he's right in what he said, that the narrative has been set, because that is true. I think that is true. I think people have made their minds up. I think the vast majority of the crowd have made their minds up. But how do you turn that around? I don't think you do.
Well, it's going to be fun to find out as we watch the next thrilling installment. I think we covered the game itself, really. There's not much more. I don't know what there is else to say about the actual game, unless anyone wants to actually praise Blackburn. Should we do a bit of that? They're third in the table.
I was going to say that, actually. I don't know if we were slightly dismissive of them. I think it was just the general first pod back, we just got back into class and didn't really know what we were talking about. We were slightly giddy.
Swansea, we'd won. Everything was great. Look at that narrative arc. Everything.
Yeah.
Great ball.
And I think we were kind of laughing at the fact that they were third without having any real justification to do so. But they played well. I think it's fair to say that they didn't allow us to play. And I think obviously there's a level of expectation that we will just kind of turn teams over at this level like that. But those days feel like they're gone now. So I think, we do have to give the opposition some praise for playing well. That's not to say that we didn't absolutely stink the place out though.
Well,
you probably know more than me, but they pressed really well, didn't they? And they kind of particularly shut off Hayden, and there was just no way out for Norwich, was there? I think that was. This is why I felt sorry for Ben Gibson in some respects, because he had no one to pass it, did he? Like it was either he could just pass it across to Hanley or go long, and that was the only option he had.
There was no midfield for us.
No, it's completely non-existent.
And I thought, because some were making out that the jeering was because Norwich were trying to build from the back, and it wasn't that. It was that they were absolutely hopeless at taking the ball from the back line into midfield and then further up. So it was just going back because they'd spent 50 minutes unable to progress the ball properly. And so that was why it was funny. And so I saw someone tweet during the game, Angus Gunn is now our chief playmaker. And it's a bit like, it is like that. I mean, I get that, it's useful to have him go long sometimes, but there was literally nothing else that was able to happen. And it was because Blackburn, I think there was the first Norwich attack, they had space down the flank because Blackburn was so narrow. And I was like, there's going to be loads of joy out wide here. Then Blackburn went 1-0 up, and then they just pressed perfectly, and Norwich just could not figure out a way to get the ball and beat the press. It was laughable, really, to be honest. So,
Well,
so laughable.
Sorry, go on, Zoe.
No, you go first.
But I was going to say that obviously the goal going in right at the start was, to state the obvious, the worst thing that could have happened to us, really. But you sort of, it's a sort of goal that we could have easily conceded under Daniel Farke, to be fair. But obviously, where you'd back his teams to come back from that, the way the team is at the moment, the way the fans are at the moment, you just don't feel like it's going to happen, and it kind of played right into Blackburn's hands. And obviously that then set the crowd on edge. I think it was 14 minutes in that there was booing. And I do see Smith's point, and I've always found the booing to be counterproductive. But before people start to pile on, his point about us waiting for us to fail and that not helping, again, probably right. But look at the Borough game. Bloody hell, the fans actually really did get behind the team. We were 1-0 up in that game. We were playing pretty well, and the fans were actually really supportive. And that was only 4 weeks ago, or whatever it was. And we still managed to find a way to lose that game. So I kind of think his point really, I don't know, we're finding ways to lose games at Carrow Road all over the place. 4 defeats in 7. It's, I kind of think, I don't know. I can understand that he's angry, but that you just don't do it. It's bad enough as it is with the fans. Just lashing out is honestly the worst thing he can do.
And that element is exactly right, because last season, and I remember this vividly, the crowd at home to Brighton in the goalless draw was excellent. They kept pushing and pushing. They kept driving them on, and it didn't work. And the idea that everyone gave up on Norwich after the first 20 minutes of the Liverpool game is rubbish, to be honest. Maybe if that had been said in a proper interview, it could have been, given a follow-up question, but it wasn't. So, it's though the idea, and lots of my colleagues have said it. There is no one inside Carrow Road who does not want Norwich City to be a success. It's the only reason they're turning up. That and a bit of habit. It's that straightforward. And they will all be there for as long as they possibly can. And if they're not there, they'll still be following the results because they want them to do well. And if they're doing well, they'll probably come back if they've gone away. If people start going away, that's because there is something rotten with how the club is operating. And if the people inside the club can't get the handle on what that is, then maybe someone else should have a go and they'll find the way. Because, that's what worked 5 years ago. So there we go. Anyway, it's all right. I can go away for Christmas, and then come back. See if I still get lit in. Okay, well, I think that's done everything on there. Oh, I was going to plug my piece on The Athletic, obviously.
Where's
I wrote a piece for The Athletic.
You going for the award? Are you going for the award next year as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've started early. That was from Saturday's game. Give it a read if you wish. We're not going to preview Christmas as such, because who wants to think about that right now? But Norwich are at Luton on Boxing Day. Yes, I am at that.
Can I just say,
yes.
I wouldn't be totally surprised if we won that game. Like, I know that sounds ridiculous, but I don't feel like we're in that position where are the next set of points coming from? I could see us winning that.
No, but this is kind of what's in my piece on The Athletic. But the point is, the last two games are not about in any way anything being different since the World Cup break. Norwich could have quite easily gone and won 1-0 at Swansea the way they were playing before the World Cup. They would quite easily have lost to the team in third at home, because actually they haven't beaten anyone doing well this season. That's the reality of it. This idea that the squad is the best in the division and that all the players at Colney are sitting there going, "Oh, we need to prove that we are the best team in this division." I don't know. I've followed Norwich teams who have sat there thinking we're the best team in the division, and they're not. Norwich have gone up when they clearly weren't the best team in the division, because probably 3 or 4 of them were below them. So that means nothing. It's only about what's on the pitch. So ultimately, there are teams better than them in the Championship, and one of them is winning at the moment tonight, by the way, away from home. Anyway, so Luton away on Boxing Day night. That is on Sky.
Is it?
Yeah. You're going to watch it.
Christmas miracle.
It will be. I hope it's on Main Event. I'll be there. I think, although it is on Sky. I could not go to Kenilworth Road. It's fine. Sorry.
Is our entire Christmas fixture list on Sky?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know.
Because Reading is, and obviously Blackburn was.
Well,
what are they doing?
Reading at home just before New Year, and then Watford at home just after New Year. Watford at home. What a game that'll be. And then Blackburn in the FA Cup at home. Third round of the FA Cup, first full weekend of January. And then we've got the pod back. So that's what you've got to look forward to between this podcast and our next podcast. I imagine what the world will look like after those 4 feasts of football.
Will we have a new manager by the time we do another podcast?
We asked that question before the World Cup, Steve. Let's not ask it again. Yeah.
Will we have to do an emergency pod on?
I suppose maybe we should do an emergency.
I'm
pod.
not calling for it.
You're volunteering. Yeah. It's me and no one else, because everyone's enjoying their.
Yeah, Christmas. I think Dan and Ben said they're available for that one.
Let's have a look at some comments. I will leave the awards until a bit later on, but keep the awards and nominations coming. We will just rattle through them really quickly and hope no one listens. What we got? Okay, Gary Field. Hi, Gary. To be an authentic Norwich FC vlog, surely you should all be surrounded by at least half a dozen of empty seats around you. Oh, I get that now. Yes, indeed. Well, yes, it was quite empty. I did have that in my things we were not going to talk about, actually. The attendance has not been disclosed yet. It's the only one in the Championship from the weekend.
I saw something somebody posted on Twitter. It snuck onto the bottom of the BBC article, and it was like 25,000 and something, I think. Although...
Okay, Steve, do you want to find some comments? I'm going to check that myself. Go on,
okay, that's not official. That's from A-Man on Twitter. Yes. Hold on. You've
not the award ones. Well, here's one from Matt Gregory. Yeah, I have, so I'll give you a chance. There's one from Matt Gregory. You can read it out, Steve.
Matt says they're not Ipswich Lights this week. They are Wickham Lights, referring to my Christmas tree to celebrate their victory over the scum. Are we allowed to say that?
Probably not.
Well, you have to bleep that.
No.
To celebrate their victory over the... I can't think of
over Ipswich.
Over Scunthorpe at the weekend. Over Ipswich.
Yeah, careful Googling that.
Yes. So, yeah, that's absolutely what they are. It's a Wickham tribute. Yeah, why didn't I think of that? Smokey Joe says Jordan and White on TalkSport saying they could not understand why Norwich supporters were booing the manager when he's done so well.
Oh, were they? It's not like them to say that. Is it because they wanted some engagement?
When Houghton was in charge, and we were being told we were being ridiculous at that point. I think it's not the first time anyone's failed to understand what's going on.
And we've been there with TalkSport before, right? When they were telling us that we weren't trying in the Premier League. Actually, let's gloss over that one. Question then in that case for Andy and Zoe. Before the World Cup break, Dean Smith said we would come back a different animal. What animal are we now then?
You know, when dogs have operations and they have the cone of shame on their heads so they don't lick their stitches, I feel like we've got a big collective cone of shame.
Have they taken off both back legs and attached wheels, but we don't know what to do with them, and the cone on top of the cone?
The wheels would suggest some sort of like improved mobility, though, which I don't think we have.
Would, yeah. Well, maybe they increase them. I don't know. No dogs were harmed in the making of this analogy. I will just say I've been on the BBC report, Steve. There is no attendance on there.
Ooh, okay. I have fallen foul of a Twitter hoax. Then I do apologise.
Not unless someone
Fake
knows
news.
of it. It's a fair point. There are loads of stats places. I've been checking. I've been waiting for it to pop in, and it has not popped in anywhere yet. It's the only Championship fixture this weekend that hasn't come through in terms of attendance. And obviously, the longer it goes on, the more people are going to go, "Why are you hiding it?" Or maybe the person who's off, the person who normally files it, is away. Maybe they didn't count all the seats. I don't know. Could be a perfectly legitimate reason. I'm sure someone will explain. And also, ultimately, the attendance figure is the figure of tickets sold. It's not the figure of attendance. So if 20,000 season ticket holders did not go, the attendance would still include 20,000 season ticket holders. So
always a get out. And then one more. Dr. Loafing.
Don't get me in trouble, Steve.
Question for the panel. Is the current atmosphere as bad as the end of the Worthington era, if anyone can remember that, or the Peter Grant stewardship?
Very similar, isn't it? I remember that Burnley game when Worthington got the shove, and it was very toxic then, wasn't it? And it was very much like that on Saturday. It's probably the most similar occasion I can remember, apart from that West Brom one with Houghton. That was obviously pretty bad with the infamous season ticket incident, wasn't it? But
the clapper.
I think it's out there. Yeah, the clapper. That was it. The clapper. Yeah, I was thinking of I'm thinking of Gunny, wasn't it? That was a season ticket.
Oh, so many. Such a rich history.
Yeah, that was bad on Saturday. It really was. It was toxic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It felt very similar to the Worthington one, and the big difference was Worthington got sacked like 5 minutes after the game finished, and now we've got to build up to the next game, thinking what's going to happen next.
But also, that atmosphere owed a lot to him being given a 2-game ultimatum where the first game went badly. So the whole situation was horribly contrived, really, in many ways. I think this time the atmosphere is a bit like this podcast. I suppose it's kind of irreverent, and if people are just sort of ignoring you, you just sort of feel like going. And it feels like that was the atmosphere at the ground. The supporters like, we hate this. Screw you. We're going to tell you exactly what we think. And, that's just horrible and so counterproductive. And what do? You need someone to be a grown-up, don't you? Who's going to be the grown-up?
It's not going to be the Norwich fans. I mean, I feel like, and obviously there are a lot of factors, but I feel like people are voting with their feet more than they did back then. I can't remember the ground being as empty as it was at the end of the game, even at the start. Like,
apart from last season, I mean, there were games last season where it was half empty when we got, and we were probably still about 2.
But even, like, I don't remember like at the start of the game it being, and I know multitude of factors in that: freezing cold, game on Sky, trains not running, nearly Christmas, blah blah blah. But even so, I think the fact that people are just not bothered with watching them at the moment is a big factor, and that it was never really been the case. Well, normally it's like angry, but it just seems to be apathy now.
Oh, let's not mention that word again. Okay, well that's good. I think we've covered that. Keep your questions and comments coming in. Norwich under-18s are currently drawing 1-1 at Burnley in their FA Youth Cup third round tie. I think they're in the final minutes of normal time there. So the things we're not going to talk about, which we'll just rattle through this. I finally saw the ball boy incident replayed, and it wasn't. I don't want to underplay the fact that there was a ball boy sort of stuck in the middle of a football scrap, because that's ridiculous. But there was a bit more sensible activity around him as well than I was expecting. Blackburn player sort of covered him off. Stewart tried to lift him up. I mean, he was about 18 as well. He probably could have lamped all of them if he'd wanted to. Not that he should have to. So, it was sort of semi-sensible. I thought, given the hilarity of the situation, obviously it shouldn't happen. Clearly,
it would have been good if he had lamped someone, wouldn't it? That would have really actually made the whole game worthwhile. If the ball boy just, just. I'm not advocating, obviously, but just
bizarre. That was literally the only time in the game where Norwich showed a bit of aggression, wasn't it? It was really weird. I mean, Zoe mentioned that tackle from Kenny, but they were just so passive, weren't they, for the whole game? And then, when the game was up, when Dolan got that second goal, they suddenly started showing a bit of fight. It was really, really weird.
And Zoe loves a bit of violence as well. So
on the field,
loved it.
If they could fight properly, then it would be okay. But they even seem to do that badly.
Stuart Webber did go away. He climbed Island Peak during the last week and a bit, I think, or maybe it was during the World Cup break. I'm not entirely sure. He was at Carrow Road. Some people may have felt or not known that he was there. He was there, and I think the camera picked him up certainly at some point in terms of the Sky coverage. Alex Tetty, hope he's feeling better. He was going to go to Carrow Road to be, spoken to at halftime. Like, here's Alex Tetty. Thanks for everything. Too. He was poorly, so him and his family didn't come, which is a shame. Hope he's okay. He seems to be, judging by his Instagram. But also, let's be honest, probably it's a good, him coming out at halftime. He might have got booed. Who knows? Who knows?
Never.
No,
that was my only saving grace in that whole thing, was that at least Tetty doesn't have to sit through this. At least we've spared Alex. Thank goodness.
I hope he was watching on Sky. Yes. Something we are definitely not going to talk about. The January transfer window will be open the next time there's a podcast from us. Oh my God.
Anything to talk about with that?
Well, they're going to try and do a little one. I would say it will probably be a loan and probably a winger. I think
Villa?
well, it could be. I think they're allowed 2 players from the same club. I mean, they haven't got any money. And I think there's probably a little bit of hope that they'll sell someone who's not got long left on their contract and who probably therefore isn't worth much money. So good luck with that. And if it's Teemu Pukki, wow, that's what I would say. So let's hope not. That's just me ruminating, by the way. Don't start saying, "Oh, Norwich journalist says all this." No, I think talking nonsense. Really.
I think when they hear this pod and about him being nominated for best beard of the year, they will, if they did have any designs on selling Pukki, it wouldn't happen. Think of the uproar. You can't sell beard of the year.
Can't sell beard of the year. Yeah, that's our title. And in what else I did have here, I appreciate these are all the things I don't want to talk about, so you might have something to do. I was going to do an attendance sweepstake, but I can't be bothered, much like the people publishing the attendance in the first place. Anything anyone doesn't want to talk about? No.
Could I offer a little bit of a sort of Christmas beacon of hope, maybe, just amid all this negativity. I write a piece for the Matchday programme every week if you wanted to buy it. And this season I've been writing about Norwich in the 80s and some of our best games. And today I was writing something for the Reading game, and I was writing about the 1981-82 season. We'd just been relegated from the top flight. Expectations were high on us getting straight back up to the big time. In March, we were 13th. Quite a long way off the idea of promotion. We then went on. We only lost twice more, and throughout the rest of the season, went on a sort of 12-game run where we only lost once, and it was really incredible. And they just timed their run perfectly to the end of the season. Got promoted by the skin of their teeth right on the last day of the season, and everybody was very happy, and it was wonderful. And I just thought, maybe it's Christmas and everybody wants to feel a little bit of hope at Christmas. Things have been worse before and we've sorted them out. And while I'm not saying that if we carry on like we are, it's going to magically sort itself out, there is still time for things to get better, and there is still time for things to be positive again. So fingers crossed, not that we are 13th in March, but that we do turn
not
things
yet.
around. And can't be long.
I wish we could end the podcast on that note, but we can't because I want to do other stuff. What happened ahead of the run? Did anything happen to instigate the magic run?
Well, we'd been through. So basically, it was when sort of people were coming and going sort of throughout. Kind of, there wasn't really transfer windows in the same way. So Martin O'Neill had left in the summer, and then he came back in sort of January, February time. We'd said like a few players had left and we had a load of new players. So I think it just really wasn't clicking. And then suddenly it seemed to, I think O'Neill came back and was the star of the show and sort of ran things. But everything sort of just fell into place, and they just went for it. And it's quite that season. I'm giving everything away. Please do still buy the programme. But that season was the first year where you got 3 points for a win. And if it was still the same 2 points for a win as it was the previous season, we wouldn't have got promoted, because that season a bit Blackburn style, we only drew 5 games all season. So it was basically win or bust all year. At the start, it was a bit more bust than win. Eventually, they turned that round. It was mostly wins. And because we'd won so many games and really pushed for those wins, we ended up being the ones that got promoted. So there's a lesson in that bravery as well, I think.
I love it. Well, that's all we need to know, isn't it? That will keep us coming back come January. Even if we've lost all 4 games, it won't matter, because we'll still have March.
Sorry, while we're harking back to history as well, I did like, and on a positive note, the Duncan Forbes, I don't know what you call it, artwork on the side of the stadium.
Yeah,
was really nice.
Yes, I have to say the one thing we didn't speak about last week, and we're not speaking about this week, but I would hope we would speak about in the new year, is I know that Proud Canaries have begun a funding campaign for a Justin Fashanu statue to be in the vicinity of Carrow Road. I've not really had a chance to delve into how close that would be and why and where and however, and I'm well aware of the debate over that sort of a tribute. I think that it is about much more than football, and therefore would be just a magnificent thing to happen. But part of my discussion briefly on Twitter, because I wasn't going to have a massive discussion about it on Twitter, was that, there wasn't enough historical nods to Norwich City as a club around Carrow Road as it was. So to then see a massive mural of Duncan Forbes popped on the side of the sort of corner towards the south stand was brilliant. And it was really good to see it in person as well. And just seeing supporters looking up and going, oh, wow. So too right. Great to see. Well done, everyone, on that. That is wonderful. Right. Any other comments or questions? What do you reckon, Steve? Do you see anything of exciting?
I mean, this tickled me. Craig McHale-Smith in January.
Yes.
Really like
Finally.
that. Matt Gregory, take the credit.
I like that. That's a grand one. And traveling, I did show it a second ago by accident, but traveling TW had Matt the Steak Blake in January on a free from Dis. I think he was at Norwich United, Matt the Steak Blake. So, you know, it's got Norwich pedigree in itself.
It's an excellent nickname. I could go for that.
Maybe that should be best nickname, the nickname of 2022. Maybe that's another one that we should do. Any other one, Steve? I'm just having a quick check on something.
Any other nicknames or comments? I
mean, the thing
Dino and Shaky, they're a couple of good nicknames, aren't they? No. Other than obviously everybody, and apologies for this, Andy, because I know you get this every single time you're on. But
there we go. Yeah.
Kevin Plug said, "Is Andy Ward Russ Martin in disguise?"
Well, yeah, you know,
it's weird. I just don't see it, but there must be something in it because a lot of people say it, but I don't get it. I'm dreading it if he becomes the new Norwich manager, if that ever happens. It's going to be awful, but yeah, it's just something I've sort of always had, but I don't see it.
Good point here, James Hotchkiss. This is what I was just checking, Steve. The Norwich Canaries Norwich City website does have the official attendance scrolled down, probably where it always is, in fairness.
You should have guessed it that they'd put it out through their own channels, Michael. That was where it was always going to be.
Yeah. I was going to ask a follow-up question about the attendance, but obviously I can't. 25,866 is the attendance. So there we go. It must be said that hasn't reached any stats outlets. So that is strange in itself. But maybe it's, as I said, maybe it's just an oversight. So apologies if anyone takes offense to anything we've discussed over the course of this entire podcast.
That feels like classified information to me. I don't think that's the kind of information we should be giving out. Attendances.
There we go. We've solved one of the main mysteries of this weekend, thanks to James Hotchkiss, because we wouldn't have done without him. So there we go. Right. Well, after a triumphant first, however long, we should probably move on to this is almost fantasy football. Go on, John.
This is almost fantasy football.
Yes, there he is, saying the same thing I just said, only in his voice. This is going to be our 2022 end of year alternative awards. Yay! I don't have any music, but that's okay. Somewhat fitting of the subject matter. So we had the ones we did. What other ones? Has anyone come up with any? We've got a few comments as well, so we'll get those in. Eye roll of the year, obviously, we've got that. I've got a suggestion for that one. Highlight of the year. Kit of the year, I've got. That's an exciting one. There you go. One for the marketing bods. Kit of the year.
They're all good, aren't they?
Well, I can't say that. That's how it works.
Why can't they all win?
You can't. That's not the Steve.
Yeah. The home shirt from this season is spectacular, I think that
it really deserved more.
It did.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Deserved more what? More
just
than
better.
This rubbish.
Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah. Yes, I see what you mean. Yeah. I like the ruby. I think I prefer the ruby kit to the home kit, but that is controversial, really.
Yeah.
I like the home kit.
I think we're going to have to go with Andy, seeing as he practically is a Norwich player. What with him looking like this? So
I'd be proud to wear it. Yeah.
You'd be proud to wear it. Well, if you're any good, Andy, put yourself forward.
I've got a chance actually where they're playing. But anyway,
you said it. Excellent. Yes. Any others? What else have we got? Let's
go on, Zoe.
I've got another suggestion for a category. Best impression of another Norwich player. To go to Gabriel Sara at Rotherham when he passed the ball across the pitch and gave it to a Rotherham player, resulting in a goal in his best Kenny McLean impression, which he then repeated at home a week later as well. So, no doubt just trying his best to win this award, I would say.
Real commitment to the bit, that is. I'm still pretending to be Kenny, everyone. Maybe they should all just try that.
I was just having fun. It was my Kenny impression.
Whose idea was this? What did you call that award, Zoe? What did you call
Best impression of another Norwich City player.
Because there was, I can't find it now. We've literally had so many comments. So thank you, but it is proving extremely difficult to keep track of them. But there was someone else who put something similar to that.
I actually had, it wasn't of a Norwich City player, but I had a best impression category with second place was Michael's Scottish accent, which he then had to
Oh, wow.
recreate on the following podcast.
That was
Which
terrible,
was
wasn't it?
I
Yeah.
thought it was pretty good, but it
Oh.
wasn't as good as the winning effort, which was Stuart Hodge doing Brian Blessed. I think we can all agree, anyone that listened to that podcast, that got quite an outing.
It was. Well, you know, that's maybe the best thing. Adam says here, I find the podcast therapeutic this season. I mean, if what are we if not therapeutic?
Podcast of the year, some might say.
Well, yeah. Is there an award?
That's a good category. We could give ourselves podcast of the year.
Christopher Ward says that the sponsorship of the own goal award has to be from BK8, which is obviously a pre-2022 joke, but allowed.
And now winning at life because they're Huddersfield's main sponsors, aren't they? So
that's very true. Yes, indeed.
Not a problem anymore, apparently.
Not if you're from Huddersfield. You know, they enjoy Frankfurters. Partnership of the year, I've got nominees include Tampa, So Rare, Curitiba, Las Palmas, although that's unofficial, and Marcelino Nunez and his thumb. So I think he probably wins that.
What about Gabriel Sara's left shoulder and Gabriel Sara's right shoulder for the partnership of the year?
Hodgie does love his shoulders.
Amazing shoulders.
Any other awards? We've got one here from Declan Cotter. Biggest carry of the year. That's Pookie in the Premier League. Not just the Premier League, arguably.
Nice.
But maybe.
Brandon Williams against Everton. That was a good carry, wasn't it? He carried it halfway up the pitch, and
that was literally the definition of a football carry, Steve, and an assist, wasn't it?
It was a good assist, yeah.
Maybe that's just the best moment ever.
The best moment of the year. I've got best cameo of the year, runner-up, the drummer in the Coventry City game, never to be seen again.
I hope he's all right. Like, you know, when he's just like, it didn't work, mate. So, you know,
it's probably that bull boy that.
Gosh, what a year he's had! He's had the best year.
He likes hitting things. But the winner of cameo there has to be the bird on the pitch against Chelsea.
Oh yes, indeed. Best bit of space finding we've seen.
Yeah, make your own wing play, Joe.
We've got hair puns. That's good. James Hotchkiss, Max Herons. Obviously, this is off the back of best
Hernandez.
There's always one, isn't there? So, Kenny McLean cut. Does that work? Yeah, I guess that does.
Yeah.
James Hotchkiss also got his own award as well. Innocent Bystander of the Year. Ball boy from Saturday. Have we already? I've lost track of what we've read out now.
And Nolly has also added to that Innocent Bystander of the Year set-piece coach.
This is going well. It's going well. People think we just have digs. I mean, we're not that kind of a podcast.
That's what you can do, innit? Mispronunciation of the Year award, runner-up, Jakob Sørensen. I'll do it wrong. Sørensen, which I think we've mastered now. And the winner is, of course, Ian Bru.
Yes. That's probably one of the most worthwhile conversations we've had all year. Most definitely.
Yeah. It's a public service.
It's public service. One other one I had, training camp of the year. Obviously got the choices of pre-season in Austria or the World Cup break in Tampa. Any takers on?
Well,
we can't judge the second one yet. Yeah.
Huh?
Well, because they said they were going to come back a different animal after Tampa. We haven't had a chance to see that. Let's give that a bit of time.
Okay. So we'll judge that one at the end of January. I like it. I like your thinking, Andy. Good call. We'll come back to that award.
Yeah, we'll come back to
We'll save it for May. Well, I'm out of alternative awards. I don't think we've got any others, but thank you so much for so many of them. There will be ones I have. Oh, I like this one. It's because it's about me. Technology award, my earphones. Yeah, good shout. Thank you, Nolly. I think my headphones will appreciate that. Matt Gregory breaking the rules here. Worst signing of the last 18 months. I mean, we can't do that, Matt. It's an annual award. It's
not allowed.
It's difficult. So sorry, but we'll come back to it in May, along with best training camp.
I feel like my favorite podcast moment of the year award goes to Michael's. Was it in one of the first podcasts of this season? You had that 10-minute breakdown before the podcast started because you couldn't find your script and you were trying to make your iPad work. And it was a real joy to behold it, like it just unfold in front of our eyes. It was magical. I really thank you for that.
Very much the sort of thing that happens before I'm on a camera and no one sees. So thank you. Yes.
It truly was, and we were all sitting backstage and not able to help. It was like seeing you, through in another room that we couldn't get into.
So just like watching Norwich on Saturday, in a way.
Yes.
Well, on that note, I think we've covered them all off. Congratulations to all our award winners. You know who you are, probably. Oh yeah, Zoe's right. Yeah, round of applause. And that's obviously the best podcast of 2022. That's our official award. On the ball, your podcast is no, we won't do that.
I hope we'd win that award with our own listeners. You know, that would be gutting if
no, they're just turning up out of habit. It's like they've got nothing else to do on a Monday, and to be honest, half of them leave if we don't. Oh no, that's my joke. No, I almost gave away my link at the end of the pod, so I can't say that. I will come back to it later. Hold that thought. Think of it. It's like the awards in May. Right. Anyway, finally, we will move on to Kenny Other Business. 3 more years of Kenny McLean means 3 more years of Kenny Other Business.
Yeah.
Good news.
Isn't it just?
Again, they've committed to they're listening to the podcast. That's what they're basing the new contract.
I hope they're not listening to the podcast. They've got more important things to do. I miss Emmy Other Business, but that's a different conversation. I've got an interview going out on The Athletic over the festive period. There we go. Anyone want to have a guess at who it might be with?
Delia.
Good one.
No. Unlikely to be someone I would need access to.
Martin O'Neill.
No. I haven't had a chance to listen to Connor's chat with Martin O'Neill actually, but I would like. I will do that on the way to Luton. He's selling a book.
Darren Huckabee?
It's not here. It's not here.
Give us a clue.
No. I mean, it's not that exciting a name, bless him. So, but
too late. You've built it up now and sort of then knocked it down.
Yeah, I do. I love him. He's a really, really great guy, and it's a really good interview. And it'll be the sort of thing that'll pop up and people go, "Oh, right." I think potentially, but they shouldn't because he's just brilliant, and I think it's a really good interview. So yeah,
I'm no closer to knowing.
No, and I'm not going to tell you.
Brian Gunn.
No. Although I don't think any less of Gunny. Let's make that clear. Well, there you go. Keep an eye out for that on The Athletic. There you go.
You're not going to tell us?
No, I'm not going to tell you. No. Sorry.
What does his name rhyme with? Tell us that.
Yeah. A lion.
Angus Gunn. That rhymes.
Ryan Bennett.
No, that would be a good one as well. Let's not suggest loads of interviews I should be doing. Right. That only leaves our TIFO competition. Results time. The results. That's how they do it, isn't it? I think all these good results shows. So those avid listeners will have known that last week we set our first ever competition to win this TIFO book, which is amazing. These guys are amazing. This book is amazing. TIFO Football, How to Watch Football. 52, I still don't know, rules for understanding the beautiful game on and off the pitch. A beautiful present over Christmas for yourself or for someone you know and love or hate. They'd like it. So maybe you wouldn't want to give it to them, but they'll like it. It could build bridges. Anyway, you can buy the book, obviously, on the interweb. So just search for it and you'll find it. It's book places, it's obvious. But you can win this one. Well, you could if you entered. It's too late now. We asked a question. I need some water. We asked a question and several people got the answer right. Steve, would you like to remind people of the question? And then we'll see if Andy knows the answer.
Does the book have a page on ironically cheering when your centre back passes back to your goalkeeper? Is that on the How to Watch Football?
I wonder if
anyway,
there's a
sorry.
section on
that was
crowds. You're right, actually. Carry on.
Yeah, sorry, that was another dig. So we have had two players since I think, did I say this century? I really should have had.
From 2020. No, from 2000 onwards.
From 2000 onwards, yes. Who have the letters T, I, F, and O, all 4 letters in their surname, any order. Who are they?
Andy.
I mean, I feel like asking Andy that question. Literally,
I listened to this last week and I have not got a clue. I couldn't even guess.
We didn't
guess.
I'd already seen one answer, and then the answers started coming in, so I immediately saw the other answer. So I didn't even get a chance to think about it. They certainly weren't in my head initially. I'd have had to have spent some time. So I got both answers sort of given to me. Steve, give the public what they want.
Well, the first one is a big fan of BK8. Yes, it's Huddersfield manager Mark Fotheringham.
Oh, wow.
God, that's the line of the podcast.
He could do a job in midfield now, couldn't he? Get the Fozzie flick back.
Yeah, he'd be like the Onel Hernandez, like bring him on with half an hour to go, just to do the flick. And then the second one was I don't know what he's doing now, so I haven't got a line for him. It's Dejan Stefanovic.
Oh,
from another great season. So
I feel stupid now.
No, don't. Really don't.
Zoe said she wouldn't have got Stefanovic in a million years.
No, I did. I did get Fotheringham, but yeah, I would.
You
never.
did get Fotheringham. Yeah.
I would never.
That's better than I did.
Great, an exceptional quiz question, I have to say, Steve.
Thank you.
Absolutely
well,
top notch. So well done.
And a timely reminder of how bad things can be watching Norwich City as well.
They can always be worse. That's true. Well, we had, as I said, several correct entries. A good amount. So well done, because it wasn't an easy question. We are now going to do the random draw. I have numbers from 1 to 19, please. So Andy, can you give me a number from 1 to 19?
Yeah, I'm going to go 17 because that's my birthday. And it's also Emmy's old shirt number. So we'll go 17.
Oh, God, I love it. 17, well, the 17th, you mean, of a month?
Of October. Yeah.
Oh, he is giving it out. Brilliant. Oh, well, happy birthday for then, Andy. Love it. Excellent. Well done. Don't need to tell you. So that's it. Number 17. That is, drum roll, please, everyone. Drum roll, please. The winner of the TIFO How to Watch Football book is James Connolly. Well done, James. You contacted me on the Facebook I have written here. So well done. You are the winner of this wonderful book I'm holding here. Round of applause for James because he got the question. So we'll figure this out. I can't guarantee. Your quiz is shut. No, I can't guarantee you'll get this before Christmas, but having billed it as a perfect Christmas present, but I'll do my best. I will send you a message as soon as I've come off this pod, and I will do my best to get it to you. But well done, James, fantastic. And anyone who didn't win the book, I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry you didn't win the book, but you can still buy the book. It's very reasonably priced. You can buy it. So do that. What a raging success our first quiz was.
Yep.
Yes. Good.
Quiz of the year.
What better way to end On the Balls 2022 than giving out a present just before Christmas? There we go.
Great line.
Thanks. I wrote that line. It's my script. Do we have any more comments or questions that we could say that would end this pod nicely for the year? Fix, says Stephen Taylor. Simon Duarte with a much more magnanimous well done, James. Will it be hand delivered to make Christmas? I don't know, Declan. No, that's I don't know the answer to that question. So there we go. I
knew that.
Kevin Playford, send a copy to Shaky and Dino. Michael, how rude. So there we go. And Matt Gregory said Josip Drumic, which could just be him, wanting to say Dr. Mike, or it could be that that is maybe an answer to his worst signing of the last 18 months award. he posted earlier. If that's not a good way to end this podcast and this year, I don't know what is.
Or maybe he's saying that that's the drummer who we didn't know who he was, because oh no, we can't finish on that because his name's Josip Drumic. Yeah, sorry. Quick, get another comment up.
That is literally the best way we can end this podcast. Good point, Nolly. Thank you. They are. I did just see that. Norwich under 18s have just gone 2-1 up at Burnley from the penalty spot. Finlay Welch. That was in the 103rd minute. So we're deep into injury extra time there. And that was 4 minutes ago. So they're now on 3 minutes added. Okay, yeah. So it's very confusing how extra time works. But they're on 105 minutes. So we're not going to carry on with this podcast for another 15 minutes. If you want to find out how it finishes, then you'll have to work it out on Twitter because we've already gone on too long. But I think that is absolutely 100% the ideal way to end On the Ball for another year. The Norwich City podcast, it has always known it's needed 2 quick jokes to keep our audience from leaving for repeated viewings of TNC. Yeah, that was my I tried not to spoil earlier. Love those boys. If you get to do so, make sure you subscribe via your podcast player of choice. The pod is available free for everyone on your usual player, and we stream the recording of the podcast live in video form on my social media channels each Monday evening. Have a search, and I'm sure you will find them. Ratings and reviews, wherever prompted, are always hugely appreciated. And if you want to get in touch with any questions or topic proposals, sling me a direct message on Twitter. The handle is @MichaelJ Bailey. And who knows, come 2023, I might have rewritten the ending. As for this evening, a big thank you to our guests tonight. They were Andy. Thank you so much for joining us, Andy. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Absolute pleasure.
Really enjoyed it.
Zoe, thank you as always for bringing the Christmas cheer and some sense.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. As always, Michael. Lovely to see you.
We'll do it again in the new year. Steve, my trusty sidekick through all this year, thank you for being on the podcast more than anyone deserves. And have a lovely Christmas.
More than anyone deserves, especially you. No, thank you very much. Merry Christmas, everyone. It's been a pleasure, Michael. Get well soon, Alex Tetty.
Oh, God. You've even made that sound like Yeah, you really mean it. Absolutely. Oh, God. I also, to every guest we've had this year, thank you so much for joining in with the pod, for being here. And of course, for everyone watching and getting involved. It would be a lot of less fun if no one watched and I sat here on my own.
And listening as well.
Listening helps too. Yeah, that's good. Obviously less engagement with that, so I sort of have to trust people either enjoy it or are shouting at it. And I hope it doesn't make you feel sick or angry when you listen to it, because that would be
if it makes you feel sick, I would advise not, just don't listen anymore.
Just don't do it.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Exactly.
Stick the Archers on instead.
Well, maybe on that note, we'll end the podcast. We will be back again next year. That's the plan. I mean, never say for sure, but we're certainly planning to come back next year after the joys of Blackburn Rovers again in the FA Cup for our first 2023 edition of the On the Ball Norwich City podcast. Until then, yes, this link is still going on. Enjoy the festive fixtures as best you can. I'll be at them all, so you can follow my stuff on the usual social media and, of course, The Athletic. From all of us at On the Ball, have a very Merry Christmas and warm and cozy New Year. And, of course, never mind the danger. And we're actually clear. We're still live, but we're actually clear. So just as Sheffield United go 2-0 up at Wigan, there we go. We're done. Once I get this edited, I can enjoy my Christmas holiday properly. So there. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you to these guys for being awesome. I hope it made you laugh, because Saturday didn't. And yeah, we shall say goodbye, I guess. Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas to Steve's tree.
This will be
Happy
gone
Christmas,
by
everyone.
the time of the next one.
No, keep it.
Bloody
Keep
relieved.
it there. You can't let it leave until the lights are yellow. Bye, everyone. I'll see you soon. I'm now ending the broadcast. Have a great time. Happy Christmas.